Hello internet friends, my name is Catherine and I'm the human behind Creation Miss Couture, and today is another Color Wheel Monday, the series in which I make my way through color theory one color at a time. And we are going to be working with Brilliant Yellow once again. So we've almost completed the primary color triangle, so we've already done all the red and the blue. Now we're working through our yellow and we are going to be adding blazing orange to our Brilliant Yellow to just compare it. So let's get into this. Okay, welcome back to another Color Wheel Monday, the series in which we do go through color theory one color at a time. So what we've done so far, we've been working on the primary color triangle. So we've completed the blue, the red, and now we are working our way through yellow. We've already included the primary colors with yellow. We also did our gradient of yellow and adding black into our yellow. So now we're going to be adding secondary colors. We already added Kelly green, which is a secondary color, and we're going to be adding blazing orange in this episode. So the first thing we want to do is do our stock solution. So we're making 1% stock solution. What is a 1% stock solution? Is 1 gram of your dye powder with 100 milliliter of water. So this is what we're going to be doing with the yellow and blazing orange. And when you're manipulating dry powder, please make sure that you are wearing per PPE, because you only have one pair of lungs. And since I will need Brilliant Yellow for another video at least, I'm going to do 2 grams. So I will already have my 1% stock solution for that. And when making multiple stock solutions, please ensure that you zero out your scale so you don't make any mistake. Now, let's add our water. So for this one, we're going to need 200 milliliter, but I like to give a nice stir before we add all the way the water. Some colors need a little bit more of a stir. And the main reason we are doing this is because when we are going to be working our secondary colors, we will want to try to compare them with when we added the secondary colors to our primary colors, so we can have a reference point. Sometimes you need a little bit more of a stir than others. There we go. Okay. See, this one we barely needed any stirring, which is good. Okay, so we can move this. So what we want to do is since we have Brilliant Yellow as our main character, we're going to be adding 10 milliliters of the stock solution in each of those, because we are using 10 gram mini screens fingering stroll from Knitpick, which is a 75% superwash merino and 25% nylon. I like to use the 10 gram mini skeins because they are so much easier to calculate and make math for what we're doing. So this is why I go with those 10 gram mini skeins. But you can use whichever yarn base you want if you want to create a similar experiment at home. Okay. So now that we have the yellow, we're going to be adding our blazing orange. So we are going to do a 0.05% depth of shade here, up to a 1% depth of shade there, so we can have a fun comparison to do. And So I'm not exactly certain what we're going to get with this, but it should be very warm, that's for sure. There we go. So we're going to be doing a little stir in there. It will be interesting to compare it to when we added the fire engine red into our jars with the brilliant yellow. It's probably going to be a shade lighter than when we added the fire engine red. And we have approximately 300 milliliters of tap water in the mason jars. There is no citric acid as of right now, because if you're familiar with our content, you know that we like to, especially when it comes to tonals, to give a chance to the color to strike a little bit more evenly. And when you don't put your citric acid right away, it allows for a better distribution of the color through the yarn. So this is why we wait before we add that. But if you want, you're more than welcome to incorporate your citric acid whenever you want. You might just have different results. And sometimes you might get some patchy patches. But it might be what you want. And it's going to be a very warm orange. I like that. Okay, so we are going to be adding those into the boiled water. This. Ow. It makes for a very cute fall shade of, not shade, gradient. That's really pretty. There we go. So we're going to turn on the heat right now to give it a chance to reach our proper temperature. So we want the temperature to reach between 85 to 95 Celsius. So I can't remember what it is in Fahrenheit. I'm sorry about that. So we're going to wait at least 15 minutes before adding our citric acid. And in 15 minutes, we're going to come back, add our citric acid, and see where temperature is at. And once we've reached the proper temperature, we are going to let it cook for half an hour. So see you in about 15 minutes. So it has been 15 minutes. We're going to be adding the citric acid. Rule of thumb is usually 1 tablespoon per pound, so 454 grams of fiber. So in this case, barely a quarter of a teaspoon, and we should be fine for it to strike properly. So we're going to wait 15 minutes, no, not 15 minutes, we're going to wait for the temperature to reach between 85 to 95 Celsius. Once we've reached that point, we will be calculating 30 minutes for it to cook, and after that, we're going to turn off the heat, let it cool overnight, and wash it tomorrow. So, see you in a bit. Okay, so this is good. Yep, so we are going to be turning the heat off, and I will see you tomorrow when it has cooled down completely. See you tomorrow. Alright, so we're going to be washing off the excess dye for those. I don't usually have any issues with either brilliant yellow or blazing orange when it comes to bleeding. And I had absolutely no color whatsoever left in the mason jars, so I will show you that, but I'm still going to let them soak a little bit just to make sure that we are in the clear. There is some pigments that I do have issues with bleeding. One of them is saffron spice from Dharma, and yeah, in the orange wise, I would say that saffron orange is really the one color that I have issues, that it's always bleeding. But usually orange, I'm good with them. So in this case, we were all good. There was no color left in this bath, which I was very happy, but I was struggling with those zip ties. We're going to put those in the spin dryer, let them dry overnight. We're going to check on the mason jars, and after that we're going to see the final result, and we're also going to be comparing them with the fire engine red. So let's check that out. And here's the final result for adding the brilliant blazing orange to our brilliant yellow. So you can see this is the orange that we've added, and this is when we added fire engine red. So I'm going to stop saying you can see. We have similar colors, however, of course, those ones are darker. This was to be expected because we have yellow in our not brilliant, but blazing orange. So the content of red versus yellow is very different in this situation. So we have more yellow here, which makes sense. So this is why we have a more subtle fade of orange, where here it's much more drastic. We're really going from yellow to almost fire engine red in that one. So that was a very interesting things to compare, and I'm super happy that we did the comparison, and I can't wait to see when we're working with blazing orange, when we're going to be adding brilliant yellow, what it's going to look like. I'm very excited to see that. So if you liked the video, please consider sharing, liking, and subscribing, and I will see you in the next one very soon. Bye!